Hey, so like I said in my last video, I don't make promises about like a schedule because I am insanely scatterbrained. Um, Honestly, I'm really glad that I don't depend on anything to stay alive, like some type of machine or ritual or something, because I'd have been gone a long time ago. I'm just that scatterbrained. Um, what I wanted to talk about was how and I don't know if any other people who are GBS survivors talk about this or if they feel it, but my life is divided into two really, it's like if you know your I guess the theology, the great schism. Okay. um I have my life before this happened to me and I have my life after this happened to me. And it's like the before, it feels like someone else's life. It feels like a movie I watched when I was half asleep. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't have missing memory or anything like that. I remember things, but it doesn't feel like it happened to me. It feels like, and I always fidget with my hair, so don't worry about it. Um, it's because before this happened to me, and I have a feeling I'm getting ready to be invaded by dogs and cats, but that's okay. Um, Before this happened to me, I was an entirely different person. I was very, how do I put this? Almost angry a lot. Um, and I couldn't even, just analyzing everything in my life, I really couldn't tell you why I was so angry. I just was all the time. Um, I was just hypercritical. I made a lot of presumptions and things like that. I just had no perspective on a lot of things. Well, basically, because, you know, no matter what the situation was, physically, if it was difficult or not, it didn't matter because I was, how do I put this? Basically, the house I grew up in was my way. There's no highway option. You grow up and you think that, I mean, and you just push through it because this whole, I mean, this hurts. I don't feel good. That it didn't work. Yeah, I mean, I, I was literally oozing pus out of one of my eyes one time. I was 8, and my parents made me wait until they got done with their bowling night before they took me to be seen in the ER with pus oozing out of my eyes. So, this whole concept that anybody gave a shit about you, yeah, I didn't have that. My parents took care of me to the extent that they couldn't be prosecuted for neglect. And I mean just barely, in a hairline within that. Um and I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so that's a pretty goddamn high bar. Um the How do I put this? And I fidget a lot and I hesitate a lot because I have a hard time formulating thoughts and I fidget and jump up and down and shift a lot. Um so I was always fiercely independent. I'll do it myself. I can't trust you, type of thing. And the reason I was like that is because I couldn't. I There was really no one who was there for me. Um and anybody who knows me knows my family. They can get as pissed as they want at me. I don't give a fuck. You weren't there and you don't know. So it's that. And if you want to have a problem with me, you want to talk to me, come talk to me. But you're not going to get the, oh, I just said that for a fact. No, I said it because the shit happened. Um, but before that, before I got sick, I never slowed down. I never took a day or at all because I didn't, I didn't trust that things wouldn't get done. When I would go out of town for like a pirate event or something, and my husband and son were here, I literally portioned out all the dog food. I filled up the cat container, the gravity feeder. I did all these things. I made sure the litter boxes were perfect. I portioned out the dog food. I put it in this little thing and I put it in the fridge and was like, here, each dog gets one of these at night. Because I did not trust that anything could possibly be taken care of unless I did it. And that comes from an entire life of, if it happened, it's your fault. It's your ass. And it doesn't matter if you had nothing to do with it. So that's where that came from. And if you grow up like that, like, and I didn't realize this until after I was already through rehab and hospital and all that, is that hyper independence, they say, is a trauma response to never being able to depend on anyone. And yeah, that's definitely the case. So I had that going on. And not to mention, a lot of things were done to me by my parents, by my sister, my full sister, my half sister I hardly ever had a relationship with. But by my sister, who was basically my mom's thug after she got a little bit bigger. Mom didn't want to get in trouble for child. Well, she didn't really give a shit because my dad knew all the cops and could fix it. But it's not child abuse, it's sibling rivalry. So she would, Fat Tony and his henchmen. And my sister would, beat me. So you come from that and being drug out of bed, question about where the other parent is, like you fucking know, and all that. So I went from that whole childhood and then having a couple of very abusive spouses and things like that. Well, one was a partner, one was a spouse, the ring on the finger being the different. So that's what that was. If you grow up like that and there's really nowhere to hide your whole life, you end up I feared not being able to run, not being able to hide, not, all that. And here I was in the hospital, not able to move, not able to run, not able to hide, not even able to flip over on my side or twitch my damn toes. And it was the most terrifying thing in my life, because it's like, what if? And one of the people I was afraid of was dead already. Well, 3 of them were dead, and anybody else, they were thousands of miles away and fucking broke, so they're not gonna get there. But I was extremely terrified that one of them would. And it's like, they're dead. They can't hurt you. Why are you still scared? I was terrified. I would wake up screaming because I was having nightmares. But as per usual with my nightmares, the minute I'm awake, I don't remember what it was about. I'm just screaming. That was a lot of it. I would just wake up screaming. And what can I do? I mean, I was so messed up, like, after I'd been through the ICU, I was very messed up. And, like, it was like they had the call button, but it was like this huge thing. Like, think of something you'd give a toddler. Like, it looked almost like the easy button from Staples. It's like, and all I could do was just kind of smack at it, because I can move my hand like this, but the fingers I can move them, but they really weren't doing what I wanted them to. And proprioception is the ability to determine where your body is. We all have it, and it's very tied into sensory nerves and touch nerves and, all that. When that goes away, oh my God, it's wild. My hip was hurting one day. I woke up in the hospital. And I hadn't tried to look at my toes yet, because I thought, okay, my toes are right there. My feet are straight out. No, they weren't. Somehow my leg got flipped way off to the side and it was pulling on my hip, but I didn't know that until I looked at my legs, because I could not feel where my limbs were. So that was just a wild thing. And so when you get like that, after being, like I said in my last video, I was very strong, very independent, because, kind of didn't have a choice. And I was, safe to say, I was stronger than about half the guys I know. So you go from that to not being able to move. And the mind fuck is amazing. I was just terrified all the time. I was terrified that people from my past or people, whoever that had hurt me before would come back and do worse when I wasn't able to fight back. So I spent a lot of time like just sobbing in terror. One night, this sweet lady, she was from, I think she was from Haiti. She had a very almost Creole sounding accent. She's very nice. And she comes in and I'm just sobbing. And she's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter? Are you in pain?" And I'm like, explaining to her, "No, I'm just scared. I'm fine. Just don't worry about me. I'm fine." And I guess a lot of stuff I do is not normal and people are usually concerned. That was like, and that was, I think, the biggest mind fuck about me being in the hospital is that I couldn't get my family, my blood, my parents to give a flying fuck about me. And here are these strangers who are being so kind. And my mind is sitting here going, okay, what's the trick? Where's the trick? When's it gonna end? When does the other shoe drop? It's windy and I have my doors and windows all open. So I just, it was a confusion of simultaneously the best and worst kind. It was the best kind because I was confused as to why people were so kind, and they were all being kind. The saddest part of that is I didn't know what to do with kindness, because basically a lot of my life, that was a foreign concept to me. I was treated with kindness by my mom and dad, or especially my mom, when there was someone to show off for, someone she could play good mom for. And yeah, fuck you. But it's the worst thing when I feel like half of my anxiety I shouldn't have had to develop, because my anxiety was over, not being cared for. And then anytime someone was nice to me, I thought, oh my God, what's your fucking agenda? Now my husband was absolutely, a gem. He took care of me. He was feeding me when I couldn't feed myself. He was trying to encourage me to eat. And oh my God, food was just disgusting to me. Well, because I couldn't swallow very well. So I lived on oatmeal and chicken broth, and the chicken broth was thickened. So it was kind of like a warm chickeny flavored Jello. It wasn't nearly as bad as you'd think. It really wasn't. It was pretty nice. But I just didn't want to eat, because, you eat and then the journey is completed. Well, I couldn't do anything about that. For a few days, I literally could tell I was going to go to the bathroom, and then I would. I just couldn't stop it. I had issues with bladder for a little while. So, I had a Foley for a couple days because I just couldn't feel any of it. Like, I couldn't tell that I had to go. And then on the third day, they took the Foley out and they put a PureWick in. A PureWick is a wonderful thing. Basically, it's kind of a coochie shop vac they put up there. They put just right up against you, and you can just pee into it. It's okay. So we got all that done. I was able to handle myself again, but I didn't want to eat because I didn't want them to have to clean it if I went to the bathroom. So I wasn't eating. And finally, my logical side of my brain finally got out of the box I put it in and was like, no, you can't be doing this. You're literally going to die. You're going to starve yourself. So I finally told my one PCA and my one nurse the thought I was having, and they laughed. They were like, you're serious. You're seriously not eating because you don't want to have to go to the bathroom, and you want to have somebody clean you up, and you don't want to have someone basically being bothered to bother, because of you. And, one of the PCs, the lady that I said, I think she was Haitian. She was like, that's my job. That's my job. And I can't do the accent, but she was talking about, that is my job, sweetheart. Just calling me sweetheart and things like that. And I think it hits you in the face to what extent you have gone in your life to make yourself low maintenance when you get yourself in something like that. I think about it now, and I think, to be willing to starve to death so you don't inconvenience someone. Yeah. I will be seeing professionals to discuss this. But the afterwards, I wasn't as angry anymore. I had some perspective about other people and other struggles that they go through. I finally had some perspective, because people would say, you can't. I can't. And I would be like, fuck, you can't. You just fucking do it. That was my attitude, because I was able to force myself to do a lot of stuff. Basically because I knew that the penalties were swift and severe if I did not just push through. So, I would push through migraines, flus, colds, whatever. Like, oh, I gotta run to the bathroom, and I'm going to the bathroom to throw up my toenails. That was the kind of, I'm not going to be a bother. And now I don't mind so much. I am going through some things that I'm having a hard time doing, because again, it's I really can't talk about it, but it's the same thing that it always was. I don't want to be a bother. But now it's like I'm much calmer. I'm much more easygoing. My husband and I went from being kind of tense, I think probably just because middle-aged thing and all that, to being, about, a year after I got done with having Guillain-Barré syndrome, which you're never really exactly done with it, but my husband had a heart attack. So between the two of that, we both came close, very close to losing the other one. And it gave us, we argue sometimes, but it's not nearly as intense, because you know what? At the end of the fucking day, it doesn't matter. I don't care. No matter if my husband seems a little misguided, if he seems kind of dumb to people or stubborn or whatever, when I needed that man, he was there every day. From the time he used up most of his PTO, he was there when I was in the actual hospital, not the rehab. The rehab, I was okay by then. My brain had pretty much worked around my incredible fear at that point. But he was there every day. He would show up when visiting hours started, and he would not leave until they were over. When I was getting my treatments or whatever, he would go out and get lunch or whatever. But he was always there for me. And then when he got sick, I was there for him. So, and we always had a very loving relationship, but now it was just like on another level. And now it feels like we have a lot of slumber parties. It feels like we're constantly at a sleepover, and we're giggling and, a lot of that. And we do a lot of similar interests. He does a lot of terrain work for like D&D terrain and that, and I paint the figs. So we have very, very complementary interests, I should say. Like, I can paint things, decorate things. He is a wonderful carpenter. He makes beautiful things. He's made me so many things over the years. And that, that's the real silver lining, is my marriage was next level after all this. But yeah, that's just kind of my thing. It's like, there's a before and an after. And before, I was stronger and more independent and everything else. but I was angry and I just wasn't very happy very much. Wasn't happy at all. And now I've had to readjust things. I've had to slow down. I've really taken stock in what's important and what just doesn't fucking matter. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I guess this is getting to be about 20 minutes, so I should wrap this up, but I will be back soon. I'm getting a handle on things more and more, but I'm just not quite there yet.